Alright guys, we are back here at the Mint Hill Shoe Market again on a beautiful day, I might add. Look at the way that the light is shining on that plant. Man, Charlie just added a little bit of zest up there with that plant. I love it. But we are on a mission today, and we've been on this mission this entire year to find the best workhorse style daily trainer in this $140 category. And I have not been too impressed so far with really any of the big brand options in this space. And so, as you've heard me talk about in that video we did yesterday, I highlighted some of my favorite daily trainers this year, and I actually don't have them out there. Let me go get two of them. This is what happens when you just freestyle. Sometimes you just gotta grab things on the fly. Bada bing, bada boom. I need one more. All right, so these are three of my favorites that we highlighted yesterday. All of these are $140, but they're offering something a little bit different than what we have in the box and also what we have on the top row here. And so the way that the market is moving, there is a ton of options at $140, and a lot of them, like the Novablast, Rebel, and Hoka Mach 6, are offering rides that are a little bit more fun or more protective. So Novablast, you get a lot more cushion. It's a max cushion shoe for $140, and you get a little bit of pep from the trampoline pod. And then Rebel, soft, bouncy foam once it breaks in. This thing is like a pocket knife. You just pull it out, and you can rip some fast pace on shorter runs. Then Mach 6, this is my current crowd-pleasing recommendation. If you want a running shoe for everyday miles and you don't know what to get, just get this guy. And then on the top here, though, these are some of the more classic style daily trainers, and I'm actually going to go right to left here like we're in China. Vomero 17, this is the only one out of all these shoes here that is not $140. It's $160, and it's my favorite of this classic style daily trainer, where you do get a little bit more of an exciting foam on the top here, but there's nothing too crazy going on with it. It's just durable and reliable. Brooks Ghost was probably my second favorite of all these ones that I've tried. Had a little nice peppy ride, and the foam in here is really solid. And I think a lot of you guys, you're probably not going to buy the Ghost, but the Ghost Max 2, the max cushion version of this, is going to be the one that gets a lot of people back on with the Brooks brand for training shoes. And then Velocity Nitro 2, I didn't love. I liked it. I recommended it to some people. If you like a firmer ride, I know my guy Lance got this shoe and has enjoyed it. If you want a firmer ride that's super durable and good for fast running, that's what this guy's going to be about. However, and this is my issue with all these shoes on the top here, and 880, we're not even going to touch this one. Supernova Rise, nice shoe, but super comfortable and padded. And the reason I'm saying but, as if that's a bad thing, it leans a little bit too much into the comfort aspect and cushioning aspect to be considered a true workhorse daily trainer, where you want something a little bit more versatile. And then we have the Peg, which is a shoe that's a favorite of mine, but not something that I can recommend to a lot of people, because the forefoot doesn't have enough cushion for a lot of runners out there, and the foam isn't the most exciting. Something that I think will be rectified in the Peg 41, which I think I might do a full breakdown of the Peg 41 on the newsletter. All that is to say, there's a gap. There is a gap for something that is $140, durable, has a little bit of that fun bounce, like we're seeing from the Mach 6, but still enough protection like the Novablast, but right in the sweet spot for stack height and reliability. And so, Ride 17 in this box here, I'm really hoping that's the one, but we gotta open it up and find out. Let's do it. Alright guys, so you might be wondering why the Saucony Triumph was on top of the box here. This is Saucony's Max Cushion shoe, or one of their Max Cushion shoes. Every brand has 3 or 4 Max Cushion shoes now, but it uses the same foam that's in the Ride 17. So they've trickled down their foam, Saucony has. So now in the next generation of the Triumph 22, which is coming out May 1st, that's going to have their racing foam, Power Run PB, which, don't get me on the Elizabeth Warren rant again, but they're tuning it differently in the next generation Triumph than in the Speed 3, Speed 4, Pro 3, Pro 4. So I'm not sure how it's going to ride. They're calling it the same thing, but they're tuning it different. But Power Run Plus here is one of my favorite training foams. Bada boom. We got 350 miles out of that Triumph there, and I'll show you the outsole in a second. I want to rip this open first, though. And so that is one of the things that's happening in this segment. And to be competitive, you need to have a little bit more of a fun ride in 2024. And so the last generation of the Ride 16, had that. Shout out to Running Warehouse, by the way. But the last generation had the Power Run foam. And so they're upgrading and they're elevating. And this one has the Power Run Plus. Let's take a look. Ooh, this colorway is going to be clean. Another patriotic looker. I like it. Yeah, so as I was saying, we get that upgraded foam in here, and holding it in my hand, it feels a little bit heavier. We will throw it on the scale, but it feels heavy and big. And so that was one of the things people were concerned about with this generation of the Ride and with the running shoes in general right now. We see stack heights going up, and a lot of these shoes, and I'm going to do my speed training favorites soon, but a lot of these shoes across the market are gaining weight without really adding any additional benefit. But the additional benefit here is you get the Power Run Plus foam, the beaded TPU, which is super durable. And let's show you why I brought out this Triumph here. This is sitting at 350 miles, and it still rides almost like it was when it was out of the box. Only downside is the outsole rubber on this guy wore through. So Power Run Plus in the Ride 17 should be super durable. That's why I am very bullish on this shoe as that standard shoe that you can just recommend to anybody who wants an everyday running shoe, nothing too crazy. The reason I've been recommending the Mach here is because it has the best ride out of all the shoes I've tested, but the one downside is going to be for a lot of runners, durability, and especially if you want something to run in every day and you're more of a high mileage runner, this isn't going to be the best choice because I do anticipate the wear on this will start to show pretty quickly. But as a beginner running shoe, that's where this is a little bit more value, especially because you can use it for walking and casual. Saucony would not be my first choice for walking and casual just because, well, it's Saucony. Now, in terms of the specs on this guy, 35 in the heel, 27 in the forefoot for, they tell you right there, on the inside, 8mm drop right there. And with this being the Power Run Plus foam and going up in stack height, that did mean there was an increase in weight from the Ride 16 to the 17. But Saucony was one of the only holdouts in this segment. And let's take a look here at all the shoes. I got to clean this up. Yeah, Saucony was one of the only holdouts in this segment still using that standard EVA. Now you can see New Balance there with the 880. They're the last ones, and it had by far, out of all the shoes that I've tested here, the least exciting ride. Everything else that was not a standard EVA up on the top here has a much better ride. Supercritical EVA in the Ghost, that was peppier, that was more fun. There's a supercritical foam as well in the Velocity Nitro 3. I think it's a TPEE. And again, a little bit bouncier, fun for faster running. The Supernova Rise is a PIBA that's tuned for training and super comfortable with a little bit of bounce. And then the Pegasus is, I forget exactly what the compound is. Nike doesn't disclose it, but a little bit peppier and not as dry as the ride in the 880. So I am glad that Saucony made the move to the Power Run Plus here in the Ride 17. I'm hoping we get some of that same soft bounce as the foam and the Triumph there, but holding it in my hands, guys, it is feeling a little bit firm. And I try not to read too much or watch too much about these shoes. I actually don't watch really anything about the shoes, but reading on the forums, and I have heard that this is a little bit on the firmer side. I can't say the same about the Triumph, so that's something I'll be looking for today. Is the Ride 17 going to be a firmer shoe? But as you know, guys, we talk a lot about durability on this channel, and having a little bit of a firmer foam typically means that the shoe will last longer. So that's a trade-off that you'll have to decide whether it's worth it. I can tell you now, not even putting one single mile in the Ride 17, this shoe is going to feel better at 300 miles than the Mach 6. I just know that for a fact. And when I did a 22-mile double day in the Mach 6, toward the end of those 22 miles, the foam was starting to feel, or not even toward the end of that, just on the second run in general, the foam was starting to feel like it was losing a little bit of bounce, a little bit of the pep. And then if you look at the way that they did this outsole here, which is just super puzzling to me, it's just empty right there in the back for heel strikers, which are the most important, best, and coolest segment of runners. Ride 17 here, you have full outsole coverage to the back, right exactly. It's almost like this is a diss track to Hoka, sending a subliminal at Hoka. How you like that? If you look at how Hoka did it, empty, and then Saucony, they even went with the red rubber just to twist the knife in a little bit more to the folks at Hoka. But the red rubber goes all the way, covering right up to that exposed area we have on the Mach 6. And then the outsole layouts are actually really similar. That's funny. Such a copycat league, man. And then in terms of the thickness here, this is something that I like to look at, especially because of what happened to my Triumph. It is not the thickest in the world. Let's take a look at this compared to Vomero. You can see, and the reason I brought the Vomero out, this is $160, but it competes in spirit with the workhorse segment, and with Nike, you can almost always find their standard training shoes discounted. So you can find the Pegasus for under $100. You can find the Vomero for under $140. So I would put it up in this segment. But you can see here, look at the lugs. They're like trail lugs on the Vomero up at the front here. Saucony isn't as aggressive as that, but we still do get a little bit poking out here. And so you can see on the bottom, Saucony says what kind of rubber it is. XT900. That is the same thing that's on the Triumph. It's the same thing that's on the Speed 4 and Pro 4. And it performed really well for me on the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. I did that marathon time trial where I was doing 26.2 miles around the neighborhood. Came in at 2:55, and it was pouring rain that day, and the rubber on the Pro 4 was amazing. So I'm hoping that this rubber has the same grip. I'm actually going to pull the Pro 4 out so I can show you, though. The layout on the Pro 4 is a little bit different. So yeah, take a look how they did this on the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 here. You can see they have this lattice work pattern where it's crisscrossed and you get some of the texture popping out. It's unique. I haven't seen this on a lot of shoes versus the Ride. You have a more standard layout. So it is bone dry out here today. Absolutely beautiful day. It's going to be a nice day to run in this, but we're not going to be able to test the grip. And I did get it in another white colorway like the Novablast and the Mach 6 here. So this is going to get absolutely wrecked once we get some rain on it. And then on the topic of the outsole, look at this. This is something I have never seen before. And I'll give you guys a sec to see if you can spot it. They have the foam pushing up the front of the shoe instead of the rubber. And look at this. Mach 6, you have the rubber. Rebel, you got the rubber. Novablast, you got the rubber. Pegasus, Supernova Rise, 880, Velocity Nitro, Brooks Go 16, and Vomero actually has the foam too. So Vomero and Ride both do that, and this has 200 miles on it. And you can see it's held up pretty well, so it probably won't be an issue for durability. I wonder if there is a functional reason for this, but for me it seems like if you are an aggressive forefoot striker or you plan to take this on any sort of trails, it would chew it up pretty badly, but I don't know. It seems like they've done their research and it will be okay. But this is a shoe designed for durability, and I fully anticipate that once we get it up to that 100-mile mark, it will look almost brand new, or it should. And then in terms of the upper, solid padding here, very stiff around the back, like very stiff. This is one of the most stiff and structured uppers I've seen. Let's take a look at how wide it is, because I'm wondering if they've engineered it for any width and stability. So let's compare it to the Novablast here. Novablast is one of the widest shoes. You can see Novablast is a touch wider. Compare it to Supernova Rise. And I actually meant to bring out the Supernova Rise yesterday during my favorite daily trainers. I wanted to bring it out in the bonus segment because if you do want a very comfortable, stable daily trainer that's not too heavy and has a little bit of pep, this is a good choice. So as an alternative to the Novablast, if you don't want something that's as firm, but you still want comfortable and stable, that would be Supernova Rise. It doesn't get a ton of pop, but I really like what they did with this foam here, the Dream Strike Plus. It's a move in the right direction for a daily trainer from the Adidas camp for sure. All right, let's compare it to the Mach 6 really quickly, which was probably the worst daily trainer for stability. And there's not too much of a difference in width, actually. So we'll see how stable the Ride is. And one thing Saucony has done and also is they've changed how they position the Ride in the guide. So they used to have the same midsole, except the guide had a little bit more support in there and a little bit more structure in the upper. Now the guide is going with that old Power Run foam, still that standard EVA, more similar to what the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 was like, and the Ride has gone in a new direction. So if you need stability, the guide's going to be the choice. We'll see how the Ride is for stability, but a little bit on the narrower side actually compared to some of the other shoes on the market right now. Now, one more thing. This shoe in my hand feels a little bit long, so we'll see how it fits, but I don't know if it's just because it's a narrower shoe and that might be it, but it looks long to me from the top and it feels long, and that either means it's going to fit a little bit long or it's going to be on the narrow side, and that is something about these Saucony shoes. They tend to be a little bit on the narrower side with the toe boxes. So let us throw this on the scale, see how it compares in weight. I don't think it's going to be pretty based on what I've heard, but let's see, and then we can lace it up, do a fit and feel, and get out there for a run. We have the scale out here, but before we do the weigh-in, I have to show you guys. Now, I was not planning on doing the Ride 17 first run review today, but our guy Randy Tran was bullying me on the On Cloud Eclipse. He said he was yelling at me, all caps. We never got a Ride 17 review, so I don't want to let Randy down, and he was being mean, so I thought I would give you guys the Ride 17 review today. So the thing is, I don't love doing all these first run reviews all the time because I like to get mileage on the shoes that we have. But the other side of it, and this is a little bit of an internal debate I've been having, is I want to try to run in as many of these shoes as possible to let you know what's going to be best for you. So it's a little bit of a balance, putting higher mileage on some shoes. Like these two shoes here, we have 100. I'm planning on taking the Rebel to 200. But every time I crack open a new box here, it's the opportunity cost, right? I can do 6 miles in the Ride, or I could put an additional 6 miles on the Rebel. So just something we're trying to balance out on the channel, get a good mix of new shoes, and then also do some of these lists and get some higher mileage reviews on the other shoes we have. And then if a shoe doesn't hit, and this is something that I wanted to mention as well, like the 880, if a shoe doesn't hit and it's at 20 to 30 miles, or I think people aren't really going to be considering that shoe that much, I might not be getting it up to 100 miles and definitely not past that. So those are some of the things. I talk about trade-offs, right? Trade-offs all the time on this channel. So trade-offs of bringing on more new shoes, or that the shoes we have don't get as many miles, but that means you get to be a more informed consumer about what's on the market, and I can be a better analyst because I have more reference points. So the one downside, though, with all this is the durability. You won't be able to see as many 200, 300 mile reviews from me personally, but I'm thinking there's got to be a way, and I want to cook something up for this, stay tuned, to crowdsource more from you guys so we can get durability on these shoes. All right, with that, let's throw the Ride 17 on the scale. My prediction is 305. Boom! 306. 306. I did not even look at the specs on this beforehand. Pull up like I'm Goodwill Hunting out here like the Rainmaker. All right, 306 on the right, and on the left one, 305 exactly. If I had weighed the left one first, you would have thought I was actually a genius. Now you'd think I'm kind of just annoying. So that is really good QA though. So 306 and 305. I think that's the second winner. Yesterday we had the On Cloud Eclipse, which were 1 and 2, or 1 gram apart, and New Balance SC Elite were 1 gram apart. So that is on the heavier side, I believe. Let's take a look at some of these other shoes. I want to do Supernova Rise first because these are actually really close in spirit. Comfort-oriented cushion underfoot, and Adidas is super durable. So $299.5, and this is a lot more padded shoe, the Supernova Rise. Let's see if we can get some better light on these guys. Can we catch the sun? I'm trying to catch the sun. The sun's up there. Look at that. We caught the sun. So you can see Supernova Rise, you get a lot more padding, and rubber's pretty similar. You also do get standard EVA foam in the bottom of the Supernova Rise from the gray rods. So where that weight is coming from on the Saucony is really this Power Run Plus beaded TPU foam. It's just a heavier foam in general. So next up, let's try the Triumph to see what the difference is. So remember, we are 305 on the Ride, and Triumph is 297. And this is, we had some rubber come off, but not a ton. And the Triumph has more stack height. So that's a little bit odd that the Ride is so much heavier, or not so much, but heavier than what's supposed to be a max cushion shoe with more stack. It better be super stable. That's all I gotta say. And let's make sure the size is 10.5. Yes, we do have the right size, and they put USA. I love that. It's maybe because they're American brands. All the other brands put US. Yeah, even New Balance, which is an American brand, you can see they say US. Hoka has US. Nike says US. This is an 11. Saucony is just patriotic, man. USA, USA, USA. How many subscribers did I just lose from that chant? All right, let's check. I think the Vomero was a little bit of a heavier shoe, and the stack height is similar. So let's check this guy. About the same as the Ride 17, but a lot more rubber coverage. And so, guys, when I talk about trade-offs, you gotta be bringing something if you're gonna be leaving something out. And so if you're coming with a heavier weight, you need to be coming with more durability or more foam. And there's not more foam in this than any of the shoes that we just weighed, and there's not more rubber, and I don't think the rubber is going to be that much more durable than the Vomero here. So let's check the Novablast, and I already know this is going to be lighter, but just so you can see what I'm talking about, 280 on the Novablast, 281.5 to be precise. And this has 42 millimeters of stack in the heel, 35 in the forefoot. So we're getting 7 more millimeters of stack, a little bit of a firmer ride, and a really durable rubber. This has passed 100 miles, and for me, I will typically be scuffing all through the rubber, and this is pure untouched. So I'm not so sure. From specs, and the data is not everything. We got to see how it rides, but from the specs, this is a little bit of an L for Saucony. It's heavier, you don't get more foam, and you don't get more rubber. All right, last one we can check here. Another of the slightly firmer guys that's super durable. Velocity Nitro 3, again, 284, and the stack heights are really similar. So we don't need to beat a dead Saucony, but that's an L, bro. All right, I think it is time to lace this guy up and do a little fit and feel test, and hopefully we get a little bit more room in the toe box. If you're gonna give us a heavier shoe, it better not be super narrow too, but I am a little skeptical. Man, weight isn't everything, as you guys know. I don't like to come at these brands too hard for weight, but I'm not excited that it's heavier than the Triumph. That's not good. You never told me what the kids say now for basketball. Is it like Devin Booker? Boom. Alright guys, lacing up the Ride 17 here. I'm going to do the left one first. Yeah, the main thing I'm going to be looking at, and also look at the upper. This is a cool detail I've noticed. It looks like the inside sewing on a shirt, that raw, unfinished look, that is a really cool detail. And one of the things I know Saucony is doing as a brand right now is, and also we have there's a full gusset in here. They didn't even just go half gusset. They went full gusset. You know I came full gusset. That's like an ESTG or G Herbo line. Came full gusset. But full gusset with the thick tongue. But one of the things Saucony's looking to do as a brand is to be a bigger player in lifestyle, casual wear, walking, and let's see if I can grab, my Hoka's all the way down there, but like Hoka has done. That's what Saucony wants to do. And so if you look at their marketing, if you go to Saucony.com, look at their marketing, if you get their emails, it's a little bit, as the kids say, cringe, the direction they're trying to take. It's like the Steve Buscemi meme. How do you do, fellow kids? That's a little bit what Saucony is doing in the marketing department, because they want to be cool. They want to be taken seriously as a player for outside of running. And I have some ideas on how they could do that a little bit better, but I'm not a shoe consultant. They don't pay me for that. Maybe they should. But okay, Saucony Ride 17 fully laced up here. As I suspected, it is long. It's definitely long. So my toe is coming up to, let's see if we can get the good angle here. My toe comes up to right here, my big toe. So it is a little bit long. The narrowness, let's see, I'm not poking off a ton. We'll have to see how it is when it runs, because one of the issues with the Saucony isn't just the narrowness, it's this rubbing, this friction point on the side, and I am feeling now that friction point, it is fully engaged here. So let's actually do a little comparison to the Pro 4, another Saucony shoe, to see how the fits differ. I'm not going to lace this up, but yeah, it does seem like they're built on the same last tier. You might get a little bit more room in the Ride 17, but not a ton. So man, on initial step in here, The ride is very firm. I am not getting any give under my foot as I'm doing just a little bit of, I don't even know what you'd call this, just standing in place. It is, let's go down the stairs and do a little walk test. I have the Pro 4 on my other foot, which is not a competitor, but yeah, the Ride 17 is very stiff, very firm. It feels stiffer than the plated shoe, and I haven't been doing the bend test. I don't know why. Let's do the bend test with the other one I have. Trigger warning, shoe bending. See a quick bend test here. Let's see. It bends a little bit compared to the 880, which is not nearly as bendy as the 880, which is a very firm shoe. So I don't know what that's going to spell for the Saucony. This might be a little bit of a firmer ride. Let's actually check a fit and feel test versus the 880, this is probably my least favorite New Balance shoe. And it's funny because New Balance, I think they're my favorite running brand in terms of almost everything I try from them is great, except the 880. This is the one disappointment I've had this year. And on initial step in here, I like the fit of the 880 a little bit more. And the foam does feel softer. And I don't have too many miles. I only have about 30 miles on the 880. A little walk test. Man, I might need to revisit the 880 a little bit for some running because it's feeling pretty good to me walking around here. And I've been running in some really cushioned, crazy shoes recently, like the Cloud Eclipse and what's the Hoka one? The Skyward X. And this doesn't feel like that firm, super unforgiving shoe that it was a while ago, which is why I put it to the side, because if a shoe doesn't hit, I like to revisit it. So I might need to revisit the 880, but Ride 17, oh boy, this is feeling stiff and firm. All right, let's do one more comparison here. Novablast 4, which is king of the hill for cushioned everyday running shoes right now. I really like this guy. Also 1080, I don't know. I put that more in the soft max cushion category, and Novablast is borderline max cushion too, but this is cushioned daily trainer goat. So let's try this one. And man, I am feeling that friction point, the rubbing in the classic Saucony spot. It's on this part of the foot right here, whatever this would be right before the pinky toe starts. I have calluses or corn, something disgusting there that burns whenever I run in these Saucony shoes. So just know, for however long I run today, I'm not sure how it's going to be, 30 minutes to an hour, I'm going to be burning in my left foot. For you guys, I burn for you. That's what I do. All right, step in of the Novablast versus the Ride 17. It is much wider, much more stable, also much more comfortable. And I think the foam itself on the Novablast, maybe this is a little bit firmer. We'll have to do the Durometer test after this. Maybe I'll do that at the end of the video. But I think the foam itself might be firmer or just as firm. But the way that they have the trampoline pod set up feels like I'm getting a little bit more compression in the forefoot of the Novablast. Somebody called that mechanical softness on the Cloud Eclipse video, which I like. You have the softness of the compound, and then you can have it feel soft or firm based on how the foam is set up. So you get the mechanical softness, the softness from the trampoline pod. All right, let's do a little bit of a walk test here. All right, cushion daily goat versus Ride 17. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit more flex in the Novablast. You know what? Let's do a little bit of a jog test on these guys. Toyota Grand Highlander. All right, guys, one jog. Everybody knows the rules. Saucony Ride 17 versus Asics Novablast 4. Let's go. All right, we're back, and I'm glad I did that because I am getting, and the lighting here is super weird, it's backlit, but I'm getting a lot of what I liked from the Triumph in this foam, and it still does feel like that Power On Plus. So a little bit stiffer, firmer underfoot walking, but for running, I still get a little bit of that soft bounce, especially compared to the Novablast. And I always say this when I talk about the Novablast, whenever I take this out, for the first 30 minutes, I'm not too pleased I have this on. So, and this jog was what, 30 seconds? So I think this is gonna be still that long run, great non-plated cushion shoe. Ride 17 here, this could be a good option as maybe a shorter run shoe. Let's see, I wanna compare it to the Triumph now though. Quick jog test, super quick. This is gonna be a super short video, I already know. That was a joke, by the way. I know I've been yammering on. We're probably at minute, I don't know, 26 by now? 23, 31? All right, Triumph 21, let's get perfect sun lighting. Oh, look at that sunlit Triumph. All right, guys, so as I told you, shoe tying and untying is the time for announcements and discussion. So what I wanted to ask you guys about today, podcasts. People keep asking me for a podcast and to do the videos in a podcast format. Now, I think that's a good idea. It sounds good, but I'm also operating near 100% capacity right now, and I'm trying to launch some other things on the website. So anything else additional is gonna be, it's not gonna be free. Probably need to charge for that. So my question is, if I were to offer the videos in a podcast format or do a podcast, would you pay for it? Would you want to pay for it? If you wouldn't want to pay for it, just don't comment. If you would want to pay for it, let me know if you're interested in doing that, and I'll get to work on it for you guys. I might need to see if I could hire somebody to help out with some of this stuff. That's the reason I'm asking if you'd pay for it, because we are at capacity here. You know how my life is. 3 kids. I graduated college or graduate school, thankfully. But all right, quick jog test. Triumph Ride 17. Now, I always like to say I vote with my miles, and whenever I had the Triumph in my primary rotation, I was just pulling for it day after day after day. It was pretty much either the Triumph or the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3 that I would keep reaching for. And what I love so much about the Triumph is that it has this higher stack of foam that's super protective, but it's bouncy enough for faster running, cushioned enough for long runs, and forgiving enough for recovery runs. So I'm hoping that's what we get out of the Ride 17 too. One last thing before we do this run, the Triumph 20 does feel shorter than the Ride 17 in terms of the length. I can feel my toes up against the end of the Triumph. So I do think they made the ride a little bit longer for whatever reason. All right, guys, one jog, everybody knows the rules. Super quick edition, Ride 17 from Saucony, Triumph 20 from Saucony. Let's get it. Okay, very similar. These two felt really similar out there, and this is going to be a case. I'm a little bit out of breath because I almost sprinted at the end there. I was trying to see how they did it with some faster pace, but this is going to be a case where we might need to do a durability test of the Ride 17. This is a shoe I really want to get up to 100, because that is the value proposition of this foam, is durability and bounce. And so the reason I'm bringing up mileage is because Triumph 20 with 350 miles on it, it feels softer than the Ride 17, but that could be because all that mileage. And that was a Chevy Malibu, by the way. So yeah, I think if you liked, and I'll confirm after this run, but I think if you liked the Triumph, Ride 17 might be a good replacement for it in a daily. And of course, we got Triumph 22 coming. I don't know, do you think I could get 100 miles on the Ride 17 before the Triumph 22 comes out May 1st? I'm not sure, because we got the Hyper, we got the Mach 6, we got the Skyward X that I all got to get up to 100. This is what I'm saying. It stresses me out to have all these shoes. I don't want to just be out here willy-nilly just running new shoes all the time. We got to put mileage on the existing shoes. These are the things that keep me up at night, guys. Let's clean up the shoes here, but Ride 17 does feel more stable than the Saucony Triumph 20, which is one of the issues with the heel of the 20 and 21. All right, first run time. So plan for the run today, and look at my pinky toe just peeking out. This is what I'm saying about the Saucony shoes, a little bit narrow. But plan for the run today is I'm going to try to get 40 minutes at least. We've been doing 30 minutes the last 2 days. I really want to rebuild my mileage. I'm feeling pretty much 90 to 95% recovered from the marathon, so now it's time to just rebuild that aerobic base. I don't think it's going to take too long, but I want to be mindful of recovery because I am not an experienced marathoner. I'm decently experienced at training for endurance events because I've trained for half marathons, but recovery from the marathon is a different beast. So you can have, actually recreational runners, they've shown, can have damage in their muscles up to 2 to 3 months later, especially if you're newer. So that was my third time going 26.2. It was my fourth time doing a 3-hour endurance event because I did a trail run that took about that time. So we'll see how it goes. I don't feel like I have muscular damage, but You never know. So all right, plan for today, 40 minutes at least. Test the Ride 17. Maybe do some strides at the end, not sprinting strides, but marathon pace strides or even a little bit slower depending on how we're going today. And just see how these feel. This is the perfect type of run to test the Ride 17. Let us do it, baby. Sorry, one more thing. So if you're an older runner, if you were running when the Vomero first came out and the Ride came out, they're both on 17. This is something that I've been thinking about a lot. Did they come out the same year? And if so, was that a big deal? Was Saucony trying to take Nike down with the Vomero? Because they're both on 17. And I know Brooks Ghost is on 16. So if you know the answer to this, please let me know. I've been racking my brain trying to think about it, trying to figure out the history behind the Ride 17 and the Vomero 17, what years they came out, etc. So that is my question to all you super experienced runners out there. All right, let's get into it. All right, we finished our run, but look at this. I didn't even plan that. Look how that Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 is just perfectly glistening in the light. It's a sign from God. That is the chosen shoe. Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. Man, I've got to talk more about that shoe. Do some more runs in it soon because... No, I'm not even going to say anything. All right, let's see what we got here. Glare, man, the glare is tough. 8 miles, average 7:08 pace, 58 minutes. So that is a little bit faster than I was running my aerobic runs before the marathon. And that's one of the things I'm trying to work on for this next block. And I don't know what my next race will be, but running my everyday miles a little bit faster, getting away from that low zone 2, low heart rate, slow boil. Not getting away, I don't want to say that. Building on all the hard work we did to build up that aerobic base with those relaxed miles. Now, we're going to crank it up a little bit. Go back to the book of Lydiard, get into that aerobic max territory or steady. So if you're normally running your runs at 140 heart rate, cranking it up to 155, 160. And I'm doing that only because I've proven that my body can sustain this mileage level through those relaxed miles. You can't jump right into doing all your miles near marathon pace or 20 seconds slower than marathon pace. Well, you could, but that's the recipe for injury. And that was my number one thing I wanted to avoid since the 2022 Charlotte Marathon. So now I've strengthened my body through all these relaxed miles. I've proven that I can handle the work. So we're going to dial it up a little bit faster, let that heart rate rise, start cooking a little bit more in the kitchen. So Saucony Ride 17, first run in the books, back to basics is what I can say about this guy, man. And I think this is a shoe it's just begging me. It's begging me. And I know it's not the most exciting shoe out there, but it's begging me to do a double day. So we might have to do the first double day back. No promises. But let's get this guy off and do the full breakdown. So if you've ever run a marathon, let me know what is the longest you've gone after a marathon without running. And then on the other side, what's the quickest you've ramped back up to your normal weekly mileage? So I know a lot of people will run the day after the marathon, but have you ever run a race and then a PR attempt, not just any marathon? Have you ever run any marathon and then just went right back into your 70 miles a week, 80 miles a week? I'm curious. This is a great thing about being able to experiment with our training. We can try different things out. All right, Ride 17, classy, clean, America, USA. Let's get in the first run review. Some bloke in London right now is like, that is such a jingoistic attitude. Didn't he know the Pax Americana died 20 years ago? Fire ant update. It was pouring rain yesterday, but they're still there. We still have the fire ant infestation on the mailbox. Not gonna get fooled 3 times. I am turning the mic around today, baby. All right, guys, so Saucony Ride 17, first run in the books, back to basics, 8 miles in strides. That is a building block run, a building block workout. If you want to become a better runner and improve your fitness and you're not already doing hour-long runs, that's the first best thing you can do. And then the second best thing you could do is 90-minute runs, and the third best thing you could do is 2-hour plus runs. But first, building up to that hour, don't even worry about the pace, just getting out there for time on feet. That's what developed my fitness to start tackling sub 130 half marathons, and then eventually sub 120 half marathon, and then the 3-hour marathon and the 2:49 marathon we just ran. So Saucony Ride 17, classic feeling daily trainer. This is what we expect when we hear daily trainer, those two words together. And it's also what we expect out of shoes like New Balance 880, Nike Pegasus, Brooks Go 16, this whole category of shoes that Saucony Ride is competing in. And so previous generations of the shoe, Ride 16, Ride 15, were a little bit firmer with that Power Run. And the Power Run Plus here keeps that feeling. So if you liked the Triumph and you're expecting a soft ride, this feels a little bit denser and firmer than the Triumph. And one thing I'm noticing actually, as my face is close to the midsole here, it seems that the beads in the Power Run Plus in the Ride 17 here are smaller. And so I think that's contributing to that denser, firmer feeling than the Triumph. We'll do a comparison up in the office. Maybe I'll add that after this with the Durometer test to see. But a little bit denser, a little bit firmer than the Triumph. Not nearly as firm as Power Run in the previous generation, which I didn't run in, but I ran the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3. So that's a good thing for my guy K Guns and any of you out there who do not like that super firm feeling EVA. For example, Adidas Adizero SL is another shoe in that category. Now, other than the firmness, it is bouncy, it is a little bit on the faster side, and we're running today around 7 flat, which is near the faster end of what my aerobic everyday range should be. But because the mileage came down from this last block, and it's funny because I'm only 4 or 5 days out of the marathon, but the mileage is a lot lower than it's ever been in the past, 6 months or so. So I feel super fresh, like I can sustain this pace. So at this faster pace, it felt pretty good. Felt like it could be a decent workout shoe maybe for some fartleks, and it felt awesome for the strides actually as I was picking up the pace. But if I were doing some more relaxed running, I would probably not be pulling for the Ride 17, and in general wouldn't be my shoe for choice if I was recovering from a marathon and wanted one shoe to do that. I would much rather run in what I did yesterday, Cloud Eclipse, or the day before, Hoka Skyward X. So even though this has 35 millimeters of stack in the heel, it does not ride like a max cushion shoe, and these days max cushion means 40 plus, so much more similar to daily trainers like the Pegasus and all those other shoes. And now, I do think this is gonna be a great option for bigger runners who want that more simple, classic feeling shoe. And I did have a friend comment on the channel yesterday. He considers himself a bigger runner. I think he said he was 5'10" and 200 pounds, and he said that, oh, that's Charles. Wow, that Jeep, it needs a wash. But he said that standard daily trainers, so the Pegasus and that type of shoe, tend to not work for him because they wear really hard. I think this would be a nice shoe for bigger runners who want a more classic feeling shoe that's not super soft, not super mushy, not super stacked, but can stand up to a little more force. So this did feel best when I was running with a little bit more power. As I was kind of jogging along in some places, not my favorite shoe. I would much rather have a 1080 or a Supernova Rise or any slightly softer, more comfort-oriented shoe for that. Now, in terms of the fit and feel, the biggest thing I noticed out there that I didn't mention yet was how stiff the back of the shoe is. This heel counter here is extremely solid. Ram ProMaster, and one more. Old Chevy Silverado. I think it's the diesel from the way that engine sounds, but a lot stiffer out here in the back. And at times it felt like, I know we talk about heel lockdown, which is one of the words that I think my guy Brian Way said he wanted to hear banned from the channel, but the heel lockdown on this, it felt like it was overly locked. And it wasn't that the shoe was too small, because I had a lot of room up in the forefoot, but the back just felt like it was just cramping my style a little bit. So very tight in the back here. I wonder if I mess with the laces a little bit, if that would fix it. Other than that, the fit was decent. Midfoot, I had enough room. A little bit of narrowness up in the forefoot here, but I didn't get a ton of that rubbing, which was nice. I did feel it in the beginning, but as I progressed throughout the run, it wasn't hurting or feeling too painful, which is nice. And then enough room in the standard 10.5 for my toes. And hold on, so I've heard that that guy is some sort of a, I don't want to say the word, but a boss. and he is rocking On Cloud Monster. So On really runs the streets. I tried to tell you guys, they are the modern Air Max. Nobody believes me, but On is the modern Air Max. On runs the streets. You don't want to mess with that guy, and he was rocking the Cloud Monster. I hope I don't get whacked for saying that. So yeah, fit, comfortable, a little bit on the narrower side, 10.5 for me, my normal standard side. I had enough room in the toe box, maybe a tiny bit long, but I would not want to size down if I were you. And now, general vibe of the shoe, where does it fit in the market? Similar to the Novablast, this was a shoe that I enjoyed the more I was running in it, and as these firmer shoes typically do, it feels a little bit better and more supportive towards the back end of that run, and past an hour, I think it's gonna be great. And that's why I wanted to use this as a double day shoe. We'll see if we do that today. I'm not sure, no promises, but I think with more mileage on the shoe through the life of the shoe and just in one day and one run, it will feel a little bit better, and you'll get the additional marginal benefit from the firmer foam. So the marginal benefit of the firmer foam is that the firmer it is typically, or the higher stack it is, the more protection you'll get. So if you have a super low stack shoe that's soft like the Topo Cyclone, there's gonna be zero protection. If you have a higher stack shoe that's firmer like the Saucony Endorphin Shift 3, you get a lot of protection. And then a softer shoe that's firmer like the New Balance 1080 V13, you also get a lot of protection, but the downside there is it can bottom out. So this guy, there's absolutely, ooh, the sun went away on us, but this guy here, there was no bottoming out whatsoever. Again, that's why I think this is going to be an awesome shoe for bigger runners. It can stand up to a little bit more support and force without having a really tall stack. So I don't want to come with any slanderous statements here, anything blasphemic that's going to get me banned, but this is almost like a baby Superblast in that nothing about the ride blew me away, similar to the Superblast, but very protective, and the longer I was using the shoe, the better it felt, and the more force I was putting into the shoe, the more benefit I was getting. So I think if you like the Superblast and you want something a little bit lower, of course we have to get more miles in the shoe to see, but I think this might be a nice choice. The one difference, key difference, is that shoe, a lot of the benefit you're getting is from the lighter weight. You don't get that here. So we'll have to see Triumph 22, maybe that'll be a better comparison, but that is more of a max cushion shoe where you're getting a lot of foam in it. Wow, the sun is really going in and out today, but overall, firmer option that was a little bit on the fun side. It felt bouncy for those strides when I was picking up the pace. I do think it'll be a nice workout shoe. I think this could go into the one shoe rotation category. That's definitely what I'm getting from it, and that's why I'm giving it the Superblast comparison, because this could do a lot of the things that I'd want in a shoe, especially if you're running your miles a little bit faster, or if you're a bigger runner and don't want something super soft. One downside was it was a little bit firmer for relaxed running, but you do get, last thing I'll say, you do get a lot of protection in the heel here, so it is a nice shoe for heel strikers. Okay, I think that's all we have for now. I want to go into the office, do the Durometer test, and then I think we're probably going to do the double day, so stay tuned for that. And sometimes it's just a nice change to run in something really simple with no frills. And that's what the Ride 17's been doing for us today. Out of all these shoes here, it's the one that, similar to Rebel V3, and this is a lot more stacked and cushioned, but when I put it on, it just felt like I wanted to go run, not worry about pace, not worry about looking at the watch, just that pure, simple feeling of running. And I think this nice colorway has something to do with it too. Colorways do matter, man. Swag does matter. Look good, feel good. Let's do this little Triumph test. All right, guys, Ride 17, Triumph 20, Durometer test. So if you're not familiar with this tool, let's grab it here. It measures softness and firmness of foam. So let me grab a shoe that's in the middle, that I think will be in the middle. I have to grab the Novablast, it's outside. All right, so Novablast here from Asics. This has the, I'm not even gonna say the name of the foam because it doesn't matter, but it has a foam that's pretty representative, that's a big word. This is a foam that is a standard training foam. And so it's coming in at 45 on the Durometer here. Can you see that? Let's lighten it up a little bit. Yeah, 45, 43.5. Now let's check the Triumph. Oh, I realize I usually have my other light going. Let's see if I can get a better angle for the light. There we go. All right, 38 in the heel, 38 in the forefoot, and the bottom is always where I check as well. Bottom's always softer, 33 in the Triumph with 300 miles. Now let's check the Ride 17 here. Doing the heel now. Really close, 38.5 in the heel. Forefoot, 39 in the forefoot. Let's check the bottom. 39 in the bottom. All right, guys. So it looks like these foams are pretty similar. The one last thing I wanted to show before I say sayonara for now is that you can see here, can you see the beads in the Triumph are a little bit bigger? And take a look at the blue here. Look at the blue with the beads in the Ride versus these beads. They're a tiny bit bigger in the Triumph. So it seems that they've changed the foam maybe a tiny bit, but it is the same amount of softness on the Durometer. And maybe the Ride 17 then will soften up a little bit, because I do think it's a little bit firmer out there on the Ride. All right, guys, see you in a bit. And putting away all the shoes here and take a look at the closet. Charlie was not too happy with how I left the closet. This is where I put all the older shoes. You can see it's a little bit of a wreck, so we're gonna do a tiny bit of reorganization here. The thing is, I know I'm gonna rip these out. Have to do something with them in 2 days, but happy spouse, happy house. All right, I think that's better. What do you think? Do you approve the shoe organization?
No.
No? I made it a lot cleaner.
It's organized chaos.
Organized chaos. All right, guys, 4:13 p.m. We are going to get at it with our first double day back and a little double run test of the Saucony Ride 17. And we might get a wet weather grip test because it looks like it might rain out there. Man, I was going to take Reevesy in the stroller, but look at this. The sky is ominous, and I've been hearing some booms of thunder. So I think we'll be good with just me as a grown man. And I am feeling some raindrops here, but this is going to be a wet weather run. I wish I had another SD card so I could take out the GoPro for this, because it might be a little bit dramatic, but I think we're going to keep it pretty tight today. I know this video is already getting long, so double run in the Ride 17. Let me lace these up. Yeah, based on how the weather is, it is 100% going to start pouring. Yeah, it has a really weird vibe out here right now, so I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. 4 miles, just nice and easy, nice and smooth, aerobic run, 30 minutes, test how these do on a double day, and it's looking like we're going to test how they do in the rain as well. And the wind. Man, this is... and the thunder. Last time when it was pouring like this, I ended up doing, we're not pouring, but anytime it is super pouring, I'll just do loops around here because I live on a circle. So if it gets really bad, I'll come back and just wait it out and then do loops, but we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point. All right, let's go. Alright, I'm gonna wait it out for 10 minutes and then go again, or I might need to pull the plug because this is ramping up to be one of those thunderstorms that's just, you don't want to run it, where the wind is just whipping. You can see that tree right there. I was kind of getting blown off my feet going around this loop, so we'll see. Hopefully it passes quickly. Alright, honestly, it's starting to calm down a little bit. It's only been 2 minutes, so I'm going to give it another go. Wet weather grip test. Let's do it. We made it. Let's see. Boom. 4.5 miles, average 6:54 pace. And I'm glad we did this double because, well, I'm always glad to do doubles because we get to run more and because I learn from every single run something new about a shoe and about myself as a runner. But I'm glad we did that because we can't let a pair of white shoes get away scot-free on a first run without a little bit of dirt damage. So that's what we got. We're going to clean them up. I used to get upset, but now I just treat it as a badge of honor. So let me pop these off and then super quick breakdown to wrap up the day. Super quick, sub 3. So guys, I ordered 4 new running books last night. I am super excited. I hope some of them actually might have come today from Amazon. But I'm super excited to learn, educate myself. I learn a lot more from books and then implementing it myself than from lectures or teachers. I'm an experiential learner, which is why I'd rather take Calc 3 again than get a running coach. As one of my friends suggested, maybe I should get a running coach. We are not there. Once I'm cracking if I ever get to sub 2, that's maybe when I'd get a running coach. But let's see how far we can take it ourselves. But I've been thinking a lot recently about periodization, or how to stack and progress training by introducing new stimulus. And so 6:57 for an aerobic run, or 6:54 it was. That's awesome. We're pushing it a little bit faster than we were last block. And I'm going to see how far we can take it in terms of mileage. Can I run 80 miles, 100 miles a week at low 7 or high 6? That would be the next building block for me. So, super quick breakdown of the Ride 17 here. Let's get a nice shot of this guy. So, the only last few things I want to say before we close it out. We got to talk about the rubber. Not great. And I think they could have fixed that by using the same pattern on this shoe as the Speed 4 and the Pro 4. And maybe my memory is just not serving me right, but when I had the Pro 4 on that marathon time trial in the pouring rain, it felt great. So we're going to have to take the Pro 4 out again on another rainy day. I've taken it for 2 rainy days, but for some reason, the crisscross rubber, not for some reason, the crisscross rubber on the Pro 4 is super superior to this. Unless you have a compound like the Adidas Continental, and they also lay it out like this, you cannot do such a flat layout of rubber. You got to put some lugs or some nubs like we saw on the Vomero. So that's something hopefully Saucony will address in the Ride 17, because I felt like I was running with some Tupperware caps strapped to my feet. Not a great feeling. So not as bad probably as the Novablast 4. We'll have to do a head-to-head, but not great. And then second thing, this foam, definitely on the firmer side, but felt nice for these faster daily miles for me. So around a 7-minute pace, and it is living up to that workhorse reputation. So remember all the shoes we had laid out here on the shoe market earlier this morning? Ghost 16, Supernova Rise, Pegasus. I'm trying to think of the others. Those are the main ones of note. But of all those, the Pegasus is the one for me that I liked the best for that steadier, faster everyday running. And this has given me a similar vibe, but a little bit more protection, higher stack. So this isn't the sexiest shoe, but for where I'm at in training, I'm actually hyped to start using this as a daily trainer and pair it with some of those higher stack, crazier shoes we have, like Cloud Monster Hyper, Skyward X, and Cloud Eclipse. So it's a great time to be a running shoe fan, and it's a great time to be a runner in general, because look at this. I mean, springtime, we got the green blooming everywhere. I'm hoping to share some more insights with you guys from my marathon soon. So if you have watched to this point in the video, let me know if you have any final questions on my marathon or on the Sky Paris, because at some point soon I'm hoping to either do a newsletter or a video on that. So as always, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with some more miles in another video. Oh, one more thing. So the 2 runs in one day, the other thing I like to check for is how does the foam perform? Does it feel like it's going flat? Now, we only got 12 miles across the shoe today, so I'll normally just get that in the morning, but definitely not feeling like it's going flat in the Ride 17. I think this is going to be a super durable shoe and a great shoe for putting a lot of miles on in 1 week. That's something that I look for in a daily trainer as well. Novablast 4 was great at that. Vomero 17 was pretty good at that. This one is going to be awesome at that. All right, we're actually done. Time to crack open a non-alcoholic beer. More Hobby Jogger hats coming soon.